Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, if this is a ceremony. Honorable Abraham Dikeste, Dr. Abdallah Hamdok, Excellencies, Honorable Heads of Delegations and their delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is for me a distinct honor and special privilege for me to be at the opening of these regional consultations on financing for development. I am very delighted for this opportunity that I'm given to say a few words on these important consultations to prepare for the third international conference on financing for development, which, as it has already been mentioned, will be held from the 13th to the 16th of July this year at this same venue, the United Nations Conference Center in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And this is two-pronged. It's to prepare for that big conference, global conference, which is the successor to Monterey and Doha, but also that we start thinking about the financing of our own African framework, Agenda 2063. But before doing so, I would like to welcome and thank you all to this historic city for these regional consultations. And I thank you really for coming and accepting the invitation to come and to perform this task of consultations. And I've met some of the delegates here, and I see some heavyweights in here on matters of finance, and that gives me hope already that the outcome will be a profound one, a strong and robust one. I would like to also take this opportunity to thank our partners, particularly our fellow musketeer, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, with whom we always work together hand in hand to really collaborate with the African Union Committee to call upon African Union to collaborate on this very important task towards coining common African position on financing for development. This has proven to be wonderful to have common African position. It worked so well for the formulation of the global post-2015 development agenda, because Africa was the only region that came with well-articulated written position of all regions around the globe, and that influenced the work of the Open Working Group. And I'm sure it is influencing ongoing intergovernmental negotiations to come with the final document. Let me not overlook thanking the Federal Republic of Ethiopia for its usual warm welcome and hospitality, which has been accorded to you delegates since your arrival. Ethiopia always does this very well indeed, and we are grateful. We don't take that for granted. So, Honorable Dikeste, can you pass on our gratitude to the authorities for that? But also, the government also played a very active role in the preparation for this meeting, as well as the host of the July global meeting. So as you are all aware, this year, 2015, it's really a highly crucial year for development globally, but particularly for our continent. Our heads of state and government in January adopted our widely agreed upon framework for Africa's structural transformation in the form of Agenda 2063, which really casts the way forward for Africa, the kind of Africa we want by the end of 2063. A lot of people think that is 50 years, it's long, will we be there or not? No, it's a journey towards that, it's a process towards that, and Africa will be improving at an accelerated rate if we implement that well during that time, and we will all be able to enjoy the fruits of that progress. The continent is also looking forward to the adoption in September of the post-2015 development agenda and the sustainable development goals that will be distilled out of that. So before September, then in July, then we have that big gathering of world leaders here in Addis Ababa to discuss the key implementation means of that post-2015 development agenda and the SDGs that will come out of it, sustainable development goals. So it's a question of how will they be financed. So you would agree with me that the success of that global post-2015 development agenda and its sustainable development goals, as well as our Agenda 2063, which will be the carrier of that on the African continent, the carrier of post-2015 development agenda on the African continent. Both will heavily depend on the practical, really viable and robust financing plan. So we firmly believe that there will not be any failure due to inadequacy between the agreed upon Africa's development programs and the need for Africa or African development. The continent has been widely consulting and agreed upon on its priorities to be addressed in the framework of post-2015 development agenda and its SDGs and beyond through Africa Agenda 2063. All of them have emphasized strongly the need for structural information of our economies to successfully address the challenges and opportunities that are entailed in Africa's development. In this regard, priority projects have already been identified and agreed upon. The question we are asking ourselves now is what financing, practical financing mechanisms should we agree upon to effectively implement these structural transformation programs. Your gathering here aims at answering these questions. Our two institutions, the African Union Commission and Economic Commission for Africa, would then convey your proposed answers to the African Ministers of Finance, Economic Planning and Integration for further consideration, and they themselves will make their own additional input during their discussions on financing for development at their upcoming annual meetings scheduled for the 30th and 31st of March, which is next week. The enriched outcome document of your meeting will serve as the basis of the Common African Position on financing for development to be so it will be brought, that will be the contribution towards our position in the third International Conference on Financing for Development and the implementation means of post-2015 development agenda, and in our case as well as Agenda 2063. So this is of utmost importance. We really look forward to your contribution. Let me just point out that I always preach this, and I will continue to preach that I'm so pleased with our heads of state and government these days, because they now have moved from top-down to bottom-up approach. They are hopeful that that will work, and I would like to say I really think so. And also, they think proposal based on a broad spectrum of consultations, consulting the stakeholders, which is the purpose of this gathering here. You are being consulted. Because in this manner, we hope that there will be ownership, there will be commitment, and then enhance chance of successful implementation. Indeed, Dr. Hamdok referred to the contribution that was made by a gathering in Morocco, but you will find that there are others. We have in our hands a zero draft of intergovernmental negotiations on this matter up to this point. The African Union has also conducted, have done some work on this and had a meeting in Lusaka just at the beginning of this month from the 2nd to the 5th also. And the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa itself and the Ethiopian authorities, I think, have made some work and have some ideas on this as the host of the third international conference. So there's been a lot of contributions, all of which all this will be taken together, distill a common position and move it forward, along the ladder until we have something that we can give to our heads of government, heads of state and government for the meeting in July. So we are well in time to make our contribution during the second draft in April of that intergovernmental, and there will still be the third draft in June, but then things will have hardened by then, so we have to wedge our way in now during the second draft, and then in July it will be concluded. So we thank you very much for coming. We look forward to your contribution. We have high hopes that really the outcome document of these consultations will really be a sound, relevant, sound